All right, let's go.
Lionel Messi puts his hand up and says, actually, I'm feeling like a woman today. Do you play him in the American women's national team, Francesca? Yes or no?
Yes, right now. Hell yeah, are you kidding me?
They are useful idiots like you that are validating ascientific nonsense. There's no such thing as gender identity.
Esther, you're the only thing making anyone...
There is no real scientific basis for gender identity that I know of. It seems to be like a fully theoretical thing, which to me is like, it's a bit like a religion pushing belief on God, like pushing that on everyone else.
Angry or incensed right now, so you're causing me a mental health issues.
Your guests sit here and they
Caitlyn
cry
Jenner.
boo-hoo
Trans
tears
women.
about trans rights,
women, please.
but then
There's Tommy Lauren. She's very, very much not pro-trans as far as I know.
they dismiss Caitlyn Jenner.
Girl,
We all
don't you
probably knew
have a
what she was gonna say
Beyonce
on that.
album to
I
get
wanna
pissed
talk
off
about
about?
this.
Teenage runner Aiden
Wait, she really sounds like she like thinks she's black, but she's like not, saying like girl and stuff. Like, come on.
Gallagher became the Oregon girls 200-meter state champion last week, posting one of the fastest times in the state's history with a remarkable display of power and stamina. But as Aiden crossed the finish line, something, well, pretty unusual happened. Instead of joyous cheering and adulation, many of the watching spectators loudly booed.
Like, there's still a person. I don't know, I could boo someone like this. It feels a bit kind of bullying, but at the same time, I get why people feel like this, so it's difficult.
Well, the same thing happened when Gallagher received a gold medal on the podium, but the runner-up was loudly cheered when she received her silver. And there's an explanation for all this. Gallagher is a transgender athlete who was born a biological male and therefore has a vastly superior physiology to show for it. And as viral video clips from the race show,
Born a biological male, it's always going to sound weird to me. Like, they were born male, just say that.
Gallagher towered over many of the competing girls, displaying greater height, power and speed that frankly made a mockery of any pretense to fairness or equality. The reaction of the crowd is a small moment in the grand scheme of things, but it might prove to be extremely significant. A couple of years ago, it would have been very different. This would have been hailed as he led his progressive symbolic victory for inclusivity and tolerance. But now mainstream opinion is finally waking up to what is honestly insane. World Athletics has banned trans athletes who've been through male puberty from competing against women. But the state-level bureaucrats are miles behind. The Oregon authorities said they define a woman based on their consistently asserted gender identity.
I mean, it is Oregon, so...
But honestly, that's just disingenuous bullshit. Yes, trans people deserve the same rights and respect as everybody else. They should have fairness and equality. They should have the same human rights as me. But you can't consistently assert the massive physical differences that come from being born male or female and compete in sport.
Yeah, I'm at the moment, I'm on his side in terms of that whole thing he just said. But I mean, I'm looking for more information all the time. Like, I would love for any of these people on these panels to like convince me more into a more pro-trans position, but that's not happening because so far they're not making good arguments. So let's see what happens here. I mean, obviously I have very much of an inkling what's going to happen because this seems to be going somewhat viral. I've already seen James Barr. Can you see him on here? No, you cannot. You can see the top of his hair. This one. Yeah, so I've already seen him argue for trans rights, not very effectively. The clips of the other woman who seems to be pro-trans on this panel, I don't have high hopes for, but again, we'll see.
Rights cannot come at the expense of women's rights to fairness and equality in their own sport. Now, for years, anyone prepared to speak up about this, like me, was instantly shamed and vilified as a transphobe. But the reaction of the crowd in Oregon, which is actually skews more liberal than conservative, shows the silent majority might finally be fighting back.
That's actually a good point, the fact that it was in Oregon. You'd think there would be, like, widespread cheers. And then, like, if it was in, like, fucking Alabama or Mississippi or some shit, that's when you'd expect to see that. So, let's see.
And letting their feelings be heard loud and clear. Well, joining me to debate this and more are comedian and podcaster James Barr, uncensored contributor Esther Krakow, Outkick host Tommy Lahren, and the host of the Bituation Room podcast, Francesca Fiorentini. So welcome.
The habituation room was that. It doesn't say. Let's see.
Welcome to all of you. Tommy, let me start with you. I watched a video of this as a father of a 12-year-old girl who loves a bit of sport. And honestly, my heart just sank. But when I heard the booing, I was thrilled, not because the athlete was being booed. I felt awful for the trans athlete, but because I finally felt that the silent majority were finding their voice. What did you think?
Yeah, I also think that it's big that this happened in a place like Oregon. Oregon is not conservative, maybe certain
Okay, I'm miles ahead of these people.
parts, but certainly the majority of Oregon is certainly more on the left side. So I think the fact that the crowd is saying, hey, this is unacceptable, that's a big moment. But we just have to stop denying this, Piers. I mean, the silent majority, and I would agree that the majority, actually, the more vocal majority now, is saying that this is absolutely ludicrous. And listen, I think we need to stop talking about biological men competing against biological women and women.
I agree with that. I'm clip jumping her. I have no idea where she's going with this, but I agree. We need to get rid of the biological word completely. I mean, even like any trans person changing their biology, they're not really a biological man anymore. That doesn't make them a biological woman, but it's just not a very good it's not a very good phrase to use in my opinion.
In sports. This is a trans person, a trans woman competing against actual women. Stop dismissing women by calling us biological women. We are just women. So I want to put that out there first.
That's kind of, I agree with that. Like, I have a feeling she's probably going to go way further than me, but I agree with her so far. Like, how has it got to this point where I agree with fucking Tommy Lauren over other trans people, but yet it has somehow?
Yeah, I agree.
Why are we constantly, and when I say we, why is popular culture constantly...
I mean, okay, part of the reason I don't like the biological male thing is because to me it is dehumanizing and it is kind of erasing and it's not even accurate.
asserting that trans people, their feelings, their emotions, their inclusion is more important than the majority of women who just want to have fairness, want to compete, want to have achievements, accomplishments, and opportunities. Why do their feelings matter more than the feelings of the women that they're competing against? It's ridiculous. We keep coddling and kowtowing to this madness. I hope we're seeing the end of it, and I think within the next couple of years we will.
Yeah, I mean, I'm amazed that every woman, frankly, doesn't agree with you, because the unfairness and inequality is so obvious.
There is something to say about how quite a lot of people are just completely dismissing the actual people affected by this and just being like, well, it doesn't really affect anyone. Well, it does. You know, you can't just say that. Like, it affects the people that have to perform against these like trans athletes and feel like they've got a disadvantage. So it affects people. Like, there doesn't seem to be any acknowledgement of what the other athletes are dealing with from the pro-trans side.
But Francesca, I can see you actually going berserk here with indignation. So presumably you don't agree.
I mean, I just please don't speak for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, either of you, please don't speak for me.
Have they spoken for her? I don't think they did. I think one of them said, I don't know why most women aren't outraged by this.
Please don't speak for all women. Just let's get that out of the way right now, because I do disagree. I think about what if your 12-year-old kid was Aiden? Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't you be proud of Aiden?
No.
And how much would it...
No. Absolutely.
It's like she didn't expect anyone to chime in and just say no. Oh, man.
Certainly not. Unless that child had not even reached puberty, and in the case of my daughter, for example, and someone is trying to convince her that if you just put your hand up and say that you're a boy, you can suddenly compete against a different biological sex. I'd say it's all madness.
Piers, this is what's crazy about it. Do you think that that's what's driving trans women to compete as athletes, is that they're like, if I transition to become a woman, I can win a gold medal in a high school track and meet competition.
I mean, it's kind of the effect either way when they do win, right? Like, intention isn't the only thing we should consider here, you know?
Like,
well, now hang on, Francesca, I don't care.
That is so absurd to me.
It's the same thing.
Well, yeah, it's absurd because you just made their argument for them and made it ridiculously. So of course it's absurd.
Hang on,
Francesca,
let me speak.
I don't care. The reality is they're doing it, right? And the point is that, to me, the answer is obvious.
They're not doing.
She's not in this to like have an actual discussion. She just seems like someone who wants to shit on someone.
it to win a medal. They're doing it because that is their identity.
But they're winning medals.
Their identity is a trans athlete. Their identity is they're like a girl or a boy instead of the other way around. That doesn't automatically give them the right to go up against women and defeat them.
At the expense of actual women who can't compete with them physically.
Okay.
It's why,
Can I just
it's why
say,
we
I'm
separate the
embarrassed.
sexes.
You know what? Like, I actually Googled this.
I'm
I'd like to
embarrassed to be
be
a
a
woman.
Hang on. Come
She's embarrassed to be a woman. Like, how have we got here already? Like, we're already like, oh, you didn't immediately accept my argument. I give up. I'm embarrassed to be a woman.
you two.
I'm embarrassed to be a woman when I see women freaking out about trans women
Wow.
winning one out of so many
It's not
competitions.
just one.
Okay,
It's happening in
let's just
swimming with Leah Thomas.
hang on.
It's happening in all
Hang
sorts
on.
of sports.
Yes, because it makes us look really pathetic, honestly. It makes us look like losers and whiners. And guess what? I'm not a loser or a whiner. You know what I actually want to talk about when it comes to women's sports? Why is Caitlin Clark being paid 80 times less than
Oh, look. Well, actually, no, I want to talk about this thing instead of that thing. It's so obvious every time. Like, we saw Frida Wallace doing this shit. We saw Felix Fern doing this shit to an extent. They're doing the same shit. Like, hey, listen, I feel like I'm a trailblazer in this sense, okay? I started watching these weird people defending trans rights from the most stupid fucking standpoints before everyone else, even if it was like a week ago. Fuck it.
than her counterpart entering the NBA?
Well, that's
because
quite
she's in the
straightforward too.
Her face is like in the middle. And this guy is supposed to be on her side. I don't know if he's going to be like pushing back against her at all. I don't know. We'll see.
Because nobody watches
Women
it.
don't want to talk about that.
Hold on. Can I ask you a
Women don't
question?
wanna ever
Hold on,
talk about
Francesca.
that.
Let me ask you a question. If I hit you over the head with a bat and I said the plan wasn't to kill you, it's because you had a fly in your head, would you still not go to the police for assault? Does my intention matter?
Do you think she's going to answer? Let's see.
Because that's exactly what you just.
Yeah, that's literally literally the maths they're doing in their head when they're like, which diversion can I throw at them next?
Just trying to Rube Goldberg,
that's exactly
whatever
what
the
I
hell
follow
it is
that.
you're saying.
Pretending not to understand, pretending this person isn't making a point, pretending not to understand the point, whatever it is.
That's exactly
No,
what you
I'm
said.
with you.
Just because trans people are not
Do you know what?
identifying as trans to basically erode women's sports, that makes it okay. That's exactly what they're doing. This is
You think that's what they're doing?
I wanna
You
say
know
something.
what
Hang
the
on,
trans
don't talk
people
over
were
each
put
other.
on earth
Let me finish.
to
You know what the
sneak
issue
attack
is.
women's
You know what the
sports?
issue
Don't talk
is.
over each other.
You know what the issue
Let Esther
is.
finish her
funny to
point.
me.
and
You
then
know
can
what the
respond,
issue
Francesca.
is.
I want to get what the one on the right was saying.
To basically erode women's sports, that makes it okay. That's exactly what they're doing. This is
You think that's what they're
absolutely
doing?
I
Wait,
wanna
you
say
know
something.
what?
You think they're eroding women's sports? Does she say anything else?
Don't
Trans
talk
people
over
were
each
put
other.
on
Let
earth
me finish.
to
You know what
sneak
the issue
attack
is?
women's sports.
You think trans people were put on earth to sneak attack women's sports?
You know what the
Don't
issue
talk
is?
over each
You
other.
know
Is that what you think?
what the issue
Let
is?
Esther finish her
funny to
point.
me.
That's very funny to me. Is that what she said? I don't understand.
You know
can
what the
respond,
issue is?
Francesca.
They
Weird summarization. That's another one.
are useful idiots like you that are validating ascientific nonsense. There's no such thing as gender identity. Being trans identifying is a mental illness, a reality that exists only
I'm very mentally ill, to be fair. I can't take offense to that.
in your head, should not be validated, and specifically not at the expense of people that are just going about their business trying to win sporting tournaments or trying to use
There's
a loo.
useful
And
idiots
if
like you that are leading to
feel-
the
if
death
you
of
Using the same wording against them. Like, it's so often I'll see the opposing side make an argument and use a certain word. Like, one of the ones I saw was bullying. And then the other person suddenly uses it in almost every response since. It's weird. It's weird. Maybe that's not even a thing, but it comes across like a thing.
trans
feel
people
embarrassed
because
about
guaranteed
people
All right, let
They're not listening to each other, so what's the point?
Francesca
then
respond.
you can basically go to an island where all women think like you.
Francesca respond, the opposite happens.
You can compete with all the biological men you want, but do not impose your backward views on the rest of us and have the
Wow.
audacity
Like, why is that laughable? I don't understand.
to call us regressive.
Okay, Francesca, you respond, and I'll
Regressive,
come to
all right.
James.
My response is this. Look, I care more about human life and people actually. I care about the right to privacy. I care about the people
Then why are you here?
Really?
surviving and living in this world. Yes, I do.
You don't seem to care about the right to privacy of biological women not wanting to share their spaces with biological men. What about them?
Everyone's biological, you have to understand. People are a biological construct, so it's important that we use the word biological as much as humanly possible.
What about the number of trans youth who
What about this? What about that?
Hold on,
suicide
don't play
every single
What's the point if you're not going to answer any questions? Why is she here?
year?
about
Because-
biological women
Hey,
not wanting to
useful
share a
idiot.
bathroom with a biological
Hey,
man.
useful idiot. See what I mean? She says it once, and then she will now say it ad nauseum. You've primed her with the language now.
Talk
Shut
about
up
that.
half a
Don't do what
second.
about, answer that question. What about them? Do they not matter?
Look, lady, you can go into every
Look, lady, what is wrong with this fucking person, man?
bathroom and pick a fight with every person who you think is in
With
the
a
wrong
penis?
bathroom. That's your
if a
prerogative.
man goes into a
I'm
bathroom with
talking
my
about
daughter,
a teenager,
what should I do?
A teenager being booed. Guys, let's not bully, okay? I believe
There's a teenager being bullied, so this whole conversation needs to be derailed. She hasn't said anything useful yet.
it was Melania Trump who said, "Be best," and we know what bullying leads to. Stephen Miller,
You know-
okay?
you know-
So
you
we
know
don't
what it
want
Bullying,
to see more of
okay, but
those.
Francesca, I'm going to come to James, but because
I don't know who Stephen Miller is, so.
to me, there's conflating two issues. You can absolutely support trans rights to fairness and equality, as I do and consistently have. But you can also see that there is obviously a massive problem now, increasing now in women's sport. And
His perspective is going to be interesting because he's been pro-trans before, but this lady on the far right here is like patently ridiculous. So it'll be interesting if he pushes back at her at all.
there's a reason, and we've had this conversation, James, but you gave a preposterous answer last time. There's a reason we separate
I think I saw this one last time. He was not on it, but this is a more fair panel than the last one. The last one, it was him against literally 4 people, or 3 people maybe, that all disagreed with him.
sexes in the Olympics, in the World Championships, because otherwise women would never win anything.
Look, I think-
So that's why we do it. It's not because women aren't great athletes.
Women would never
They're great
win
athletes
anything.
when competing
What a quote,
against people
Piers.
physically born
Listen,
like
I
them.
have so much to say. I want to explode.
Go on, then.
Firstly, Esther, you're the only thing making anyone angry or incensed right now. So you're causing me a mental health issue. So really, if there's a mental
Maybe you
illness,
could
it's
join
actually
your
you.
friend.
He makes content with her like all the time. They're sat next to each other. Fucking stop crying, bro. You're okay. You're okay. If I can watch this without getting offended and without getting triggered, as it turns out, some people just disagree with me about how real trans is, then so can you. It's okay. It's okay. And he's not going to say anything about her, but then he's had his own moments of stupidity around this whole thing. So hey.
Your
I would
pronoun
like to take a
friends.
pill
You can all be
to
mentally
remove
unwell
you
together.
from my life.
Yay. The
Going back to
they-thems.
the state here, like most of the female winners in this sport, they are hitting around 22 to 24 seconds, which is exactly what the gold medalist won here. And then also following up with what you said.
What's your
Esther,
point? What's your
So
point?
My point is, this is normal for a woman.
No, you're
Normal for a woman. Being born male isn't normal for a woman. Why can't we just accept that? Why can't we just engage with that problem instead of trying to find every single way we can of going around the problem? Like this lady on the right here has clearly failed so far because she just diverts. She just calls people names, acts like a moron. It's pretty standard TRA fare from what I've been seeing so far. And he's like enabling this shit. Like, are you not gonna even slightly push back on the way this woman is acting and a complete failure to bring up any actual real points or respond to anything?
This is the normal speed for a woman
No.
in a race.
You're
But
missing-
let's get back to what you're
No,
saying.
hang
You're
on,
talking
no.
about
Hang
women's
on.
safety in
Hang
changing
on.
rooms.
Hang
Let me
on.
finish, please.
On that
You're
point-
talking about women's safety in changing rooms. That's what Esther
Which
brought
you
this
know nothing
conversation
about
down
because
to.
you're not
But
a
what I
woman.
do know about is that 1 in
Oh.
3 women in America are abused violently in their lifetime. And in every single day in America, 13,000 women are a victim. Why are we talking about
Excuse
one
me.
Why are we talking about this when we could be talking about that? That's the... I'm gonna calm down. That's the question. It's a panel about a thing. Showing up to a panel about a thing just to constantly say things like, why are we not talking about this issue, is pointless, because the answer is we're not here to talk about that. So why are you here?
trans woman
Excuse me.
being
How
in a
dare
changing
you?
room?
How
Okay.
dare you, a man, say anything about women feeling unsafe?
I'm
in-
allowed.
Yeah, it's not very feminist actually, is it? When you think about it. There's a lot of the TRA shit that's like extremely unfeminist if you pick it apart even remotely, but you know, good luck trying to get answers on why that is, I guess.
talk
bathrooms
about safety.
with biological men. No, you can't, because you're not a woman. You have never had a period. You've never been a woman
What
in a
I'm
woman's
saying,
toilet.
Esther, is
so
that
don't
you're
even mention
picking
that.
on one. Well,
I'm not picking on that. I'm talking about the fact that women around the world are being affected because we are validating a scientific
but wait, you're
nonsense.
shouting at biological men.
Hang
your
on,
words. Why
hang
am
on.
and you're allowed to talk about biological men. So
I'm
why am I
talking
not
about
allowed to talk
women.
about
I'm
women?
talking about women.
So am
hang on,
I.
hang
Is that supposed to be a point? What's he talking about? She's talking about biological men coming into women's spaces, which it's a way of framing it, sure. It's a way of framing there are trans women that go into women's spaces, but it's still true. Of course, you can talk about that. Like, if you're talking about women's experiences as a man, that's a slightly different thing.
Hang on,
talking
hang
about our
on.
spaces.
We are conflating various issues here. So let's get back to the actual issue we want to debate, which is the issue of this young sophomore, Aidan Gallagher. I come back to Tommy here. You know, I know this debate always inspires everyone to get very angry, and there's lots of allegations of transphobia and so on. I really think they're missing the central point. There is a reason we separate sexes in sport. And the reason, like I said, when the Olympics are in Paris later this summer,
Here's the thing. People are always saying that the reason it was split initially was to keep the women out of the men's game. And maybe that's true. I don't know. I haven't actually verified it. But even if that was true, it's there for a very different reason now. Like, things like that can change what function they have in society as society progresses. So I think talking about the history of it, as I see quite a lot of people do on Twitter, for example, that really isn't that helpful, because that's not still why it exists. It's changed, you know. We've decided that still has use elsewhere, and it's like feminists more nowadays that like champion stuff like that. Well, let's see what they do with this.
if you allowed women and men to compete in a generalized way, then women would win almost no medals. Literally, other than one or two events, possibly equestrian, possibly archery.
Yeah, so he's saying women and men, we're not talking about trans women, we're talking about men and women. Like, certain events, women would do well. I think it's things like sharpshooting and things like endurance running, like ultra long distance. But in general, men are the ones that are going to win. So if we put the two sexes together and just had sports, then it would mostly just be men's sports again.
There are very few things which, anything that involves power or stamina
Washing
or
up.
speed or snow,
Piers, can I ask you a question really quick?
Wait, who said washing up?
possibly archery. There are very few things which, anything that involves power or stamina
Washing
or
up.
speed or snow.
Oh, it was him, okay.
Piers, can I ask you a question really quickly?
Yes.
Because have you ever undergone any kind of like hormone replacement therapy?
Why would he have?
I mean, you mean chopped off his penis? Because
No,
that's
I haven't.
Hang
No.
on, hang on. I'm not talking to you, Esther.
Yeah, she's not really helping. Like, chopped off his penis, she's just talking about HRT. Calm down a bit.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Okay.
I'm talking to Piers.
Yeah.
Because actually, the body does undergo an incredible amount of toil.
What it doesn't do.
It goes through changes. It doesn't go through so many changes that we just have a point where it's like, now you're the same in terms of strength, etc., as a woman. Like, it doesn't really work that way. I don't know if she's going to insinuate that it completely gets rid of advantages. Like, I know Felix Fern has. I can't remember anyone else I watched has done that, but it's a fairly what am I saying? It's a fairly often spread lie, basically.
Actually-
Francesca, I've heard this
Hang
argument.
on, hang on.
It
No,
doesn't
so, but
change.
there-
It doesn't change your body mass.
No,
It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does.
No,
it
it doesn't.
absolutely can.
It lowers like muscle mass, some other stuff. It doesn't necessarily lower strength just because of that. It doesn't smallen your bones really. It doesn't change your frame or anything. And you know, you're gonna remain taller, probably broader than the average woman.
Can change your body
No,
mass.
it doesn't.
Absolutely. The
It
amount
doesn't.
of
You
hormones
remain
that
as
can-
muscular.
it
You know, how I know
drains-
this. Talk to someone like Caitlyn Jenner,
Piers.
who was as a man.
Is Caitlyn Jenner like what's the word? Is Caitlyn Jenner a reliable source for that? I mean, we've already very well established, if you watch any of my channel before this video, that trans people are very good at being terrible advocates for themselves and not really knowing much about anything, just knowing what sounds good and what helps them advocate or whatever. So why would Caitlyn Jenner be the one to bring up? Because he's actually kind of wrong here. He's saying it doesn't change your your body mass. Like, it changed mine. I have a different shape to what I used to. Oh, it's fun. Everyone is clueless.
Oh my God.
Was the decathlon gold medal winner for the United States of America.
Yeah, she was a man, and this was like 40 years ago or some shit. What was it, the 80s or something?
Yeah. And was then, when she took up golf, having transitioned, was told she could tee off
Asking Caitlyn
from the
Jenner.
women's tees, right? The women's tees are 50 yards further ahead than the men's, and she said she was winning every tournament.
Asking Caitlyn.
I mean, that's a bit better evidence, because that's actually something that she's done that showed it. I think he's just going to go back to the Caitlyn Jenner bad. I'm a bit more open to his example now that I've heard it, but I'm guessing he's not going to be.
Caitlyn Jenner for any advice or practical information is like asking you, Piers, for how to get a six-pack. Like, what are we?
Yeah, like what's that all about? Like, does she know nothing? See, every time, fuck me, they're making me take like alternate points. I have to keep flipping back and forth because people keep saying stuff that's like really not great. Unfortunately, it's usually the people on the TRA side. I would love for women's sports to be inclusive, but it has to be done safely and fairly, and that's not been proven yet. Like, if they prove it someday, yeah, I hope that does happen, but it has to be proven first.
We do it.
Actually, I've got quite an impressive growing six-pack, as my Instagram feed will
The
tell
point
you.
is
Let me-
that your
let me
body
come to-
undergoes a lot of changes.
Let me come to
and it's actually
Tommy. Tommy.
incredibly difficult
Piers,
to
I want to
compete.
point this out.
Tommy.
Wait, what was that?
50 yards further ahead than the men's, and she said she was winning every tournament.
Asking Caitlyn Jenner for any advice or practical information is like asking you, Piers, for how to get a six-pack. Like,
Yeah,
what do we do?
He hates Caitlyn Jenner for no reason. Okay. I thought I had a valid reason to be suspicious of what he was saying, and what he said did kind of assuage that a little bit. I'd need to look into the example, but probably because she's a Republican, he's like, nah, don't like her.
Actually, I've got quite an impressive growing six-pack, as my Instagram feed will
The
tell
point
you.
is that your body undergoes a lot of changes.
Let me come to
It's actually
Tommy.
incredibly difficult
Piers,
to
I wanna
compete.
point-
It's actually incredibly difficult to compete. Your body goes through a lot of changes. Ish. I'm somewhere between Piers and this lady. I guess I'm one of these people, but I'm none of these people.
This out.
Tommy.
Piers, I want to point this out because your guests here, I mean, talk about the snake eating its own tail. They're sitting there talking about trans rights and affirming transgender ideology, but then they're saying that Caitlyn Jenner, who is probably the most famous trans person, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wokeness like disappears because you use a certain example. It's like if someone uses Blair White as an example, you know, you get people that think that Blair White is what constitutes bad trans representation, which if that's what you think, you're a lot to learn, and also welcome. I will show you, I promise.
Because Caitlyn Jenner is not only a Republican, but Caitlyn Jenner also calls out biological men competing in women's sports. So your guests sit here and they
Caitlyn
cry
Jenner.
boo-hoo
Trans
tears
women.
about trans
Trans
rights.
Yeah, actually say what your problem is with Caitlyn Jenner. How about that? Like, actually push back on what Tommy Lauren is saying. How is Tommy Lauren like destroying you right now? Isn't that embarrassing?
But then they dismiss Caitlyn Jenner. It's amazing.
Yeah. Believe trans people's experiences until they remotely disagree with you, or you have any reason to dislike them, you know, guilt by association them, because that's how we all operate, I guess.
These are also the same people who claim to be feminists, but also don't care about actual women being robbed of opportunities.
Yeah.
That's why liberal.
That's also true. She's fucking cooking today. Like, I don't like Tommy Lauren. I'm not a far righter. I don't like that kind of politics. I don't like the shit that these people come out with. And a lot of it feels like really fake. Like the kind of shit that there's no way you actually think that. But she's right here. I'm not gonna shit on someone for being wrong if they're right. It's the same as if a TRA says something I agree with. I generally don't like TRAs, but I'm gonna say when someone's right. And right now, Tommy Lauren is the most sensible one. Jesus, I guess this Esther lady is doing a lot of her work for her, but still.
Liberalism is a disease, and you can just let these people talk and they argue with themselves.
Okay, I mean, she's conflating it with liberals. Like, not all liberals are like this, but yeah, I'll still give her the W.
The point is, if Aidan Gallagher competed according to their biological sex, they would not be succeeding. They wouldn't be winning state championships. They would actually not even be qualifying for the finals. That is the point everyone's missing.
Piers,
is that actually
why do you care about
women's integrity, women's sport?
Well, it's a topic of debate right now. It's a subject that people are talking about. Why? What is this? Why do you care? Fuck, I don't know. Apparently, it's fine to care about other people's problems when it's, I don't know, Palestinian people. But if it's people that are struggling in sports because someone who was born a male keeps beating them, I guess that doesn't count. I don't know. These people always have a line somewhere, and it usually makes no sense as to where that line is.
But have you done a segment on Caitlin Clark and pay disparity? Have you done where were you when the U.S. women's national team?
What's the point in coming on this debate to make that point? It's the second time she's done it. It didn't work the first time. It's not going to work this time because there's still fucking loads left on the debate and she's still fucking here. How many times is she going to do it?
Actually, well, you have no idea. Well, hang on. Francesca, you have no idea, actually.
Shut up.
God, she's bullying the black woman. That's not very liberal of you, is it?
You have no idea what I've said about women's pay.
What about when the women's national team wins in the United States, right? They've won like 4 times at this point. And what happens? Oh, Megan Rapinoe, who is both a lesbian and also like one time knelt during the national anthem. She's not a real patriot. They freak out. Donald Trump.
Wait, Megan Rapinoe? Like, that was just because she's like a leftoid. What's that got to do with trans sports?
Tweets about her.
No, you're missing Megan Rapinoe.
Megan Rapinoe is one of those people that everyone just loves to jump on. It's like Prince Harry or Meghan Markle or whatever. Like, I guess the right-wing media has these like figures they can bring up to just generate loads of hate. And Megan Rapinoe is one of them for a while. I don't know what this has to do with the subject. But then her whole point so far has been to derail the subject. So, hey.
Megan Rapinoe is a very, very good football player, but also incredibly irritating. And I noticed that when she retired, it was only then she said that she wanted trans women to be playing in the American women's national team. In other words...
I mean, is that not partly just because she retired around the time it was trendy for those kind of people to start saying that kind of thing? Maybe, I don't know.
When it wasn't possible for that person to take her position. Because here's a scenario for you. Lionel Messi puts his hand up and says, actually, I'm feeling like a woman today. Do you play him in the American women's national team, Francesca? Yes or no?
Lionel Messi had to undergo an incredible...
Yes or no?
An incredible...
Yeah, just answer the question. Why you gotta fucking waffle? You're not a politician. We always talk about how much we hate like politicians who talk like this, but then half of these people do the same shit.
He had to undergo an incredible amount of treatment when he was young. He had a bunch of like.
Would you allow him to put his hand up, say he's a woman, and play in the American women's national team?
Growth spurt.
Has she answered one question yet? We're almost halfway through, if not, almost halfway through. Has she answered a single question?
I'm a big Messi fan, so
that's great. Answer the fucking question.
Let me just explain this to you.
My question.
Let me explain this to you. No, don't explain anything. You've explained loads of things, and they've all so far fallen on deaf ears. You're not good at this. Just answer the fucking question like you said.
Would you allow him, if he said, I'm a woman, to play in the American women's national team?
You're using the wrong pronoun
yes.
There we go. Finally, someone's answered a question. It was a fucking stupid answer, but at least she did it.
Yes, right now. Hell yeah. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Messi on the U.S. women's national team?
Oh, because then they'd win everything.
Hell yeah.
Would you allow you...
Wait. He should have been asking if she'd play on the Argentinian national team, but whatever.
Usain Bolt to do that and be in the sprinting team?
Yes, because that would mean they're a trans woman. They identify as women.
I get it.
Because they say they're a woman, that means they're a trans woman. Like, I'm sorry. I think there's more to it than that. I don't think you can just call yourself something. Like, to me, that literally is the Apache helicopter argument.
So just to be clear, you would let Lionel...
And that guy agrees. Like, fucking hell. He's just agreeing with whatever. How is he not hearing how ridiculous this person is being? Like, he's been on loads of these panels, as far as I can tell. Like, let's see if we can see. Ooh. That's interesting. Anyway. Yeah, you see him here. You see him here. Like, yeah, he's been on here a long time. Whatever. I don't know. I need to find out more about this James Barr guy.
Lionel Messi play in the women's national football team and destroy women's football forever. You'd let Usain Bolt...
it'd be very difficult to get a ticket, which would suck.
What? I guess because everyone would be watching. I don't know. Again, she's answered the question, but she's not actually answering the question. She's saying yes, but because then we'd win all the competitions. So she's not serious. So she's just here to dick around. What's the point? Who's this? Fuck me. Like, who is this converting towards pro-trans sides?
I want to do a little checklist here. You'd let Usain Bolt compete as a sprinter in the American women's Olympic team?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be the Jamaican one. You know what? Whatever. I'm being pedantic. Yes, keep going.
Would let Floyd Mayweather compete as a boxer in the women's American boxing
Yeah.
team?
Yeah,
You
of
are
course
a
you have to be,
complete
like, the
and utter
heavyweight,
lunatic.
I completely agree
Lunacy.
I agree with Francesca.
Why? You've said that you believe that, but like, why do you believe that? Because they're trans women? Like, I'm sorry, even trans people are going to get lost by you. Some of us anyway. Because I'm not trans just because I'm calling myself a woman. There's a bit more to it than that. Like, if it was that simple, why would I be going through all this shit? Why would I have got fucking electrolysis on my face like yesterday? It fucking hurts. But I do it. Because there's more to it than just calling yourself a woman. Like, Christ. Anyway.
And I go
They
further,
would
actually,
have
Piers.
to
You always...
transition.
It'd go further. They're talking it over, the two people on the same side are now talking over each other. These two are just fucking having a laugh. It's great.
Piers,
Lunacy.
you always say that you want to be a penguin. I would let you live at London Zoo in a cage
Oh, how nice of him.
like the rest of
You
the
know
penguins.
what? I'd be a very popular exhibit.
You would. And you'd be locked up.
really would.
Like, she's trying to keep a straight face. Tommy Lauren here doesn't give a shit, and I don't blame her. She's got it. She's got it easy right now. These two are like doing a job for her. She doesn't have to say anything. She doesn't have to like come out with any like transphobic takes. She can just say like vaguely sensible things that contradict pretty much everything these people are saying. God damn it. Like, you know, when you're literally making like the right-wing journalist's job easy, should you not be reconsidering whether this was a good idea or not? I mean, I hope at this point in the debate, this person is starting to think, should I have done this? Was this a good idea? Was this a good use of my time? And she's not trans either, by the way, so it's nice. She doesn't have a horse in this race, nor does he, but they'll still make the worst possible pro-trans arguments. So that's nice. I'm glad. I'm so glad allies are here to save us, stupid trans people, who don't know what's good for us, and think maybe we shouldn't, you know, participate in women's sports because it might be unfair because we're all fucking pick-me's, I guess. The cis people are here to, like, the cis allies, you know, they're here to put me straight. So I'm really grateful. I should be bending down on all fours for these two people, quite frankly, James and Francesca.
Here's the
It'd be great
problem.
for the
It
rest
is
of the
so
world.
delusional. The idea you would let Usain Bolt say, I'm a woman, and compete against women on a racetrack when no man can compete with him.
I'm muted. Oh shit. I'm gonna find Jackmate. He looks just like Jackmate to me. Let's see. I think he's a bit younger. Like Jackmate's a few years younger than me. That guy there. Yeah, I've got similar like eyes and stuff. He's got a different head shape. Anyway, we were talking about these people.
Right? It's utterly ridiculous.
Well, I'm just convinced that they don't actually believe this, but to the logical conclusion of their ludicrous argument.
They don't actually believe this. I mean, maybe, who knows? The thing is, what you're supposed to think when people come out with like ridiculous arguments that they then won't meaningfully back up and will just like divert and say insulting shit or whatever. Like maybe they are just making it up at that point. But like who am I supposed to believe as a trans person listening to supposed trans allies who sound about as serious as fucking I don't even know about as serious as anyone else I've seen so far.
Arguments facilitates the need to actually say these things. Also, this is a testament to the poor quality of public education in both the US and the UK, that you both don't understand the basic economics of how sports entertainment works.
Yeah.
If there are not enough bums on seats, you don't get paid enough. That's literally it.
That's
So
it.
sitting there outraged about the fact
That's an argument for lower pay towards women in sports, I guess. Which maybe, I don't know, I haven't looked into it that much. I don't know much about the pay gap in general. It's just not one of my areas.
That some female players don't make as much as some male athletes. Guess what? Go and buy the tickets to their games and start boosting up their viewing figures, and then maybe
Caitlin
Look at the
Clark got
numbers.
more
Francesca's
views.
point.
Look at the
Got-
revenue for
Caitlin-
the Women's World Cup and compare it to the Men's World Cup. They are light years away.
Can I say
It's
one
light
thing?
years
Caitlin
away.
Clark was the most watched women's college player ever. The ratings were through the roof. She's getting sponsorships.
compare it to the
left and
average
right.
male
She-
college viewership.
Okay,
Compare
we're going to
it
move
to
on.
that and
She
see.
had more views than them.
We are moving.
We'd need to see this. I can't trust anything anyone says. Like, if you can't show it, then I'll take your word for it. But I don't necessarily believe you.
On to a different issue. I want to talk about Harrison Butker first. Tommy, I want to come to you on this. Let's just play a clip. This is a guy who's a Kansas City Chiefs star. He made a commencement speech at Benedictine College in which he told women they should aspire to be homemakers. Take a look.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture to guess that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world. Not the deadly sin sort of pride that has an entire month dedicated to it, but the true God-centered pride. Be unapologetic in your masculinity.
I shouldn't agree with him about Pride Month, but I also fucking hate Pride Month. So just for that, I'm gonna.
Fighting against the cultural emasculation of men.
Now, Tommy, this
Yeah, I find that all that cringe. I don't know.
created a huge furore, of course. The Kansas City, well, the NFL, I think, threw him under a bus immediately, said they were outraged, it wasn't their opinions and so on. But there's been a lot of surprising voices of support. Bill Maher, for example, a liberal, came out and basically supported his right to say this. It's obviously religiously motivated, what he said.
I mean, liberals can be pro-free speech too. Like, can we get out the idea that the right is the pro-free speech side and the left isn't? Like, maybe it needs to be a bit more complicated than the right thinks this, the left thinks this, because there's like clearly different factions in both sides where some of them are very pro-free speech and others are clearly very not. So I don't know, something like that.
What did you make of what he came out with?
Listen, I don't agree with everything that he said, but I also think a lot of people are taking it out of context. He's a Catholic speaking to other Catholics, so you have to put that in context. He's not speaking to people at a pride parade. He's speaking to Catholics who hold traditional Catholic views. And there's nothing wrong with him expressing his opinions. We can disagree with them, but I would also like to point out that when he's giving this commencement speech as a Catholic to Catholics, he's not like some of the other athletes who want to kneel at an actual football game or who want to force fellow athletes to wear rainbows when they're going to compete at their sport. He's giving
I mean, like the kneeling thing, like, isn't that kind of free speech as well? Like, to me, I don't agree with what that guy said, but you know, I agree with free speech ultimately. It's not like women have to do what he says. If he gets shit for it afterwards, then to an extent, that's what's going to happen. You're going to get criticized if you say stuff that people see criticisms in. But that the same goes for like kneeling. Like, it's not a disruptive action particularly, unless you're super like big on like the national anthem or some shit, which me personally I'm not. Maybe it's just because ours is shite. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I view both more or less the same way.
Giving a commencement speech to Catholics. So the left really needs to decide, do they want athletes to take a stand or not? Because we are told that Colin Kaepernick and others, LeBron James, Megan Rapinoe, they should be hailed for their political speech. But then Harrison Butker, who gives
I don't think they should be hailed, but I think they have a right to say whatever they want to say, as does this Harrison Butker guy. So like, if I'm representing the left in this case, that's my take. You know, free speech, just let it happen.
a speech, a commencement speech to fellow Catholics, all of a sudden that's a bridge too far.
Okay,
oh, please
James,
save me
James,
with your
I
outrage.
think James, your
Honestly,
response.
I mean, he talked about Catholic pride. Really?
Their pride in God.
Catholic pride, really? But we've got a whole Pride Month. Like, why is it good to be pride? Excuse me. Why is it good to be proud of certain things and not others? It's interesting. It's like saying white pride. You can't really say white pride because it sounds like you're a white supremacist. But like black pride. Fuck me, I can't talk today. Black pride is fine.
I think it's actually the most shocking part of that was the fact that he mentioned Taylor Swift and called her his teammate's girlfriend. That is so offensive.
Why?
That
She is.
Is that offensive? I don't know. It sounds like a joke. I don't know.
so
She is.
offensive.
She is.
He said that, well, she has a name. She's one of the most successful women on the
He was
planet.
obviously
And he was
joking.
talking about how
Why have you
women
got no
should
sense
be
of...
And there's going to be leftists presumably thinking, oh, why are you simping for a billionaire, you know? I don't see the point. I don't see the point in what he's saying. I don't know what he's here for, even. I don't know what expertise he has.
only
focusing, honestly.
only focusing on having kids.
The woke
and,
brigade
like,
can never laugh. When you all get together, do you ever tell jokes?
Do you know what?
You're
Maybe-
supposed to be a
Piers
comedian.
Morgan.
Oh, we tell jokes, but they're not funny. Like, woke, safe humor is almost never funny. It's always shit. I'm sorry to say that. Like, rightoid humor isn't usually much better, but leftoid humor mostly sucks.
Maybe Arsenal should take his advice and just sit at home and get married and not play football, because clearly they didn't do a
Actually,
very good
many
job.
Arsenal
But
players are
actually,
actually married.
fundamentally, why is he... I mean, as Tommy said, why is he not allowed to have those views? There are many women who sit at home, by the way, doing
Because-
who are doing
oh my
a
God.
much harder job
Because-
than anyone sitting here.
because he
right?
has a
Sitting at home,
responsibility.
bringing up children is a hard job.
A
So
massively
why do we
difficult
denigrate
job.
it by saying
I'm
that's
not-
all you're going to do? Why
I'm not
can't you say
denigrating
that?
it, but how dare you tell anyone what they should be doing?
That's what everyone does to everyone all the time. You're telling people what you think they should think. The other people are telling people what they think they should think. There's an extent to which I am telling people what I think they should think. But the whole point is I'm trying to back it up with actual evidence, because every time I talk about trans issues, no one fucking believes a word I say. So this is what I'm forced to do now. Like, where's he going with this? Come on.
It's not an opinion if you're telling people what they should be
He's
doing.
allowed to
It's not an opinion. I think he should shut the fuck up. That's an opinion, okay? That is an opinion. What are you talking about?
Give them
Women that
advice?
were in the room that they'd wasted 4 years.
You tell people what to do all the
disgusting.
time.
Hold
I
on,
don't
would you-
tell people what to do.
James,
Like, I didn't agree with the guy, what he said, the guy from the clip, but I'm like, come on. You don't have to agree with him, and you don't have to do what he says. Every woman that was in that room, like, yeah, I can see why some of them might have been disgusted by it. I don't know how I would have felt. I probably wouldn't have been too excited about hearing a guy saying stuff like that. But like, what's he even fucking saying? Your opinion is not an opinion if you're saying what someone should do. Like, what?
But Tommy's point is right. He's allowed an opinion. But what you're missing is that this opinion is being broadcast to millions of
Hold on.
people.
Again, this happens. I mean, these people's opinions, this person in particular who has thankfully been quiet recently, there's already over 1 million views on this. So like, what's your point?
James, would you have had a problem if he said go out there and be boss babes, girls, and be CEOs and all of that?
No.
You only have a problem because you disagreed with his stance. And
Exactly.
I think
That's true. That is fucking true. If you're like, oh, women, you shouldn't listen to men. You should smash the patriarchy. You should rise up. Is that also not an opinion then? Because you're telling people what they should do? Is that also bad? Should that not be broadcast to millions of people?
I think one of the
It's an
interesting
offensive
things
stance.
he said is
Because it's offensive. Okay, you're offended. Okay, so what? So what? Who cares if you're offended?
that many women would look forward to their promotions and all of that, but they'd look forward to being mothers more. Because actually, many women don't have great careers. Most women don't get to be CEOs. They don't get to be business owners. They usually become administrators,
So is that a
work
reason
in
to
offices.
give up?
No, but the point is, we've glamorized this whole idea of women in the workforce, as in go be boss babe and do, own
I've never
Facebook
once
and all
said
of that.
boss
And the
babe.
vast
Babe.
majority, the overwhelming majority of women are overworked, underpaid, doing unglamorous jobs, and somehow that's seen as something to be glorified as being a boss babe.
But you
when
know what?
actually
What
it's
it
not
also
really
comes
that
back
great.
to. There's also this whole idea of what.
I mean, a huge problem really is that in order to run a household, ideally you need two incomes. Like having one income is, I mean, you can do it, but you're not going to be able to go out and have fun or anything. So it's quite a deep topic to get into, but yeah.
What activism is allowed and not, and how should people be forced to do it? For instance, there's a football player who plays for Monaco in France, and he's from Mali in Africa. He's called Mohamed Kamara, and he and the whole team were told to wear LGBTQ and the rest of it, pride badges before a game, and he refused. Right? And the French sports minister has now said he will be facing the strongest sanctions.
That's kind of fucked. I don't agree with that. I think if they don't want to wear an armband, that's up to them. Like, the whole fucking Pride Month thing. I think if anyone doesn't want to engage with Pride Month, that's their choice, ultimately. I don't want to engage with Pride Month either, because I see that stupid fucking progress flag flying everywhere, which doesn't speak for me. It stands for something completely different to what I'm about, as far as I can tell. You know, the progressivism, the kind of shit that these two Nimrods, James and Francesca, are fucking on about. So I don't want to participate in it either. Does that make me like a bigot? Does that mean that I should be in trouble because I don't want to get involved in Pride Month? I mean, more than I have to, at least.
Against him and his club for refusing to wear an LGBT pride badge. Now, James, again, I simply say this. Why the hell should he have to? If his conviction is from a country, by the way, which is a place where they do not believe that homosexuality is anything but a sin, I don't agree with that. You don't
See also Palestine.
agree with that, obviously. But that's where he comes from. His religious conviction tells him that. He's not being homophobic. He's not saying homophobic things. He just doesn't want to wear an LGBT pride badge while he's playing football. Why the hell should he?
What, LGBT and the rest of it, did you say?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the rest of the letters are? They're LGBT.
Even you don't.
Oh my god, who cares? Who gives a shit? Why is it you can't answer his question? You have to criticize the fact that he only said LGBT and didn't say fucking QIA and all that shit. What does Q even mean? Queer? What's queer? Ask 100 people, you'll get 100 answers. And I'm not fucking queer, by the way.
No.
I do actually.
Go on, then.
LGBTQFU. Now,
Okay, that was almost good, actually. I'll give him that one. Now answer the question, though.
back to what he was saying. Let's have a conversation about.
Yeah, that was actually a good one. I'm proud of him. I got as well. I thought he was just sawing out.
Oh! Yeah, you actually can't remember the rest of the digits,
I
can you?
I
You
can.
can't. Nobody can.
Let's have a conversation.
QIA plus, I think it is. 2S LGBTQIA plus. Is that it? There's probably more. I don't fucking know. I don't use that full acronym. I don't use that full acronym.
About it. He also covered up a sign that said no homophobia in French.
Right.
So, you know,
But why should he have to
listen,
wear
on
them?
one hand, I'm like, cool, if you don't want to wear the rainbow flag, that's a bit awkward. But if you don't want to wear a flag that says no homophobia...
Why should he have to?
So what, are you pro-homophobia?
No.
Well, not wanting to make an affirmative stance on something doesn't make you automatically the opposite. That should be obvious. And it's a bit disgusting to put positions in people's thoughts. Excuse me. It's a bit disgusting to put positions in people's heads like that, in my opinion.
That doesn't mean...
No, it does. If you don't...
What's this face he makes every time he thinks he's just dropped like a fucking nuclear hot take?
And I'm like, cool, if you don't want to wear the rainbow flag, that's a bit awkward. But if you don't want to wear a flag that says no homophobia...
Why should he have to?
So what, are you pro-homophobia?
No.
That doesn't mean...
No, it
It's a
does.
se-
If you don't want to support
doesn't
no,
want to wear it.
No homophobia just means no bullying. It means
Right.
human rights.
Well, no, it means no homophobia. It means don't be homophobic. If you're fucking intersectionality brain, maybe it means no racism and shit like that as well. But this isn't a fucking intersectional household, okay? Fuck that shit. We don't do intersectionality here.
And if you don't want to say that, then what the hell are you
I've
doing
got to be
on a
honest,
team?
I wouldn't wear an LGBT pride badge.
Do you support
on
homophobia?
air. No.
Right.
But this is
Is this the best he can do, really? I'm almost glad this dumb bitch is chiming in again, because I need a break from James Barr suddenly.
Piers, it is a private it is a football team, right? That's their prerogative. This is not a nation
Oh, the private company, the pro-capitalist take, great.
Doesn't have to
state,
wear it.
implementing this. Yeah.
Isn't he a private citizen as well? Like, it's not quite like wearing a strip or wearing a uniform, because it functions just as well without it. So, I don't know.
I mean, right. So I don't know why you're getting so upset. And also, there's like a weird
Because they're going to
transition.
sanction him.
I don't know why you're getting so upset. She doesn't have any arguments or any thoughts, really, I don't think, on this subject. It comes across like she's just going to argue with whatever anyone says that she last heard.
Him.
Even if it's just like, why are you so upset about this? I mean, anyone with a brain can fathom why he's not a huge fan of, like, someone being forced to wear a rainbow armband if they don't want to. Like, say they're from a Muslim country and that's against their beliefs. Maybe their family are watching and they don't really necessarily want to see him wearing the gay thing. Like, oh my God. Like, it doesn't make someone homophobic. And it shouldn't mean that they should be, like, punished by the league or something. And them saying, well, they're a private football team. Like, is she saying that they should be fine making people want to do whatever they want them to do? Like, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Well, they should.
Then he
Okay.
God, does she want to jerk her head around a bit more? Is this the cogs in her head trying to form an argument, trying to find something to come back with, because she can't possibly agree with Piers Morgan on anything, because that would be bad. Like, her fucking radical friends wouldn't like that very much.
Hey, you think it's okay?
Then he can go play somewhere where they
Oh
don't
my
make them
Oh,
wear
God.
that.
no, Tommy.
Then get another job. Is this person a Republican? Is this person a conservative? Because these are like conservative points. Oh, you don't like your job? Then just get another job. Sounds exactly the same. And I think she's trying to use that maybe to try and point out hypocrisy, but it's not gonna work. Like, I don't know, I have complicated feelings about Piers Morgan, but he's not anywhere near dumb enough to fall for any of these women's tricks. This woman's tricks, not her.
Let me bring you in for some common sense as usual.
No, but I thought we were talking about Harrison Butker. I didn't get any bite at the Butker apple here.
Well,
That's
have
not
a bite
fair.
of the Butker apple.
I
Go
think
on.
we
Let's
all
have
know
a
what
bite
you're
of the
probably
Butker
going to
apple.
say, so we can just summarize that.
Yes.
Girl,
We all
don't you
probably knew
have a
what she was gonna say
Beyonce
on that.
album to
Oh my God, she was like, I wanted to talk about the Butker thing. And then she's like, okay, talk about the Butker thing. Don't you have a Beyonce album?
Let me bring you in for some common sense as usual.
No, but I thought we were talking about Harrison Butker. I didn't get any bite at the Butker apple here.
Well,
That's not
have a bite
fair.
of the Butker apple. Go on.
All right, so that's her getting the go-ahead.
We
Let's
all know
have a
what you're
bite of the
probably
Butker
going to
apple.
say, so we can just summarize
Okay, I think we know what she's going to say. Well, this is true, to be fair. It's pretty predictable.
that.
Yes.
Girl,
We all
don't you
probably knew
have a
what she was gonna say
Beyonce
on that.
album to
I
get
wanna
pissed
talk
off
about
about?
this because it's something-
she's in a cowboy outfit.
Okay.
Ooh, she got an American flag on. She thinks she's a country
Yeah.
singer. I'm sure you've got a few
Never
videos
said
to do
anything
about that.
but whatever.
Yeah, that's why. Please don't
You
interrupt
seem
me when I'm
rather
about
obsessed with my work, so I appreciate it. Piers, I'd like to get back to the point at hand.
Yes.
So
Wait, I'm sorry,
again,
were you
women
talking,
supporting
girl?
women, be
I
quiet
don't
while I
think so.
talk.
No, you
Okay.
talk
Very
to
feminist
me.
of you,
We listen
Francesca.
to
Point at
you.
hand.
We
Francesca, can you
listen
let
to
another
you,
woman
B.
speak, please?
Yeah.
No.
So much for being a
I'm not going to
feminist.
because you talked about Harrison, and now I'm going to talk about Harrison. Harrison Butker's mom is a physicist who works at an oncology department.
Okay, I haven't seen her talk about Beyonce recently. Let's just go back slightly because I wasn't listening to
Oh.
much.
Rather obsessed with my work, so I appreciate it. Piers, I'd like to get back to the point at hand.
Yes.
So
Wait, I'm sorry,
again,
were you
women
talking,
supporting
girl?
women, be
I
quiet
don't
while I
think so.
talk.
Jesus Christ. What am I supposed to say to this shit, man? What am I supposed to say? It's meant to be a pro-trans debate. And the two pro-trans people are the stupidest fucking people on the planet. Like, you wonder if it's a setup, but that doesn't take away James's and Francesca's autonomy. You know, even if they choose like the worst possible people, it doesn't take away these two's like autonomy to say what they think and bring their own takes and actually have a conversation. And they're still saying the shit that they are. And a lot of the shit that they're saying is echoed throughout the fucking internet, throughout real life at this point. Like, I know people who'll do the same shit as them, people I've met in real life. And I can't just be like, oh, it's crazies on the internet, it's like the media or whatever. It's gone further than that.
No, you
Okay.
talk
Very
to
feminist
me.
of
We
you,
listen
Francesca.
to
Point at
you.
hand.
Francesca,
We
can you
listen
let
to
another
you,
woman
B.
speak, please?
Yeah.
Oh
No.
my God, she's actually starting to get annoyed now.
So much for
No,
being a
I'm not
feminist.
going to because you talked about Harrison, and now I'm going to talk about Harrison. Harrison Butker's mom is a physicist who works at an oncology department. All this is a bunch of mommy issues that he laid out at a bunch of female graduates who
That's a hell of a lot of speculation coming off the back of his mum as a physician or whatever it was.
were trying to celebrate this incredible achievement, and he tells them that they have been told a diabolical lie. I mean, that is absolutely disrespectful and degrading. You want to
Okay.
talk about women's rights? They've just achieved this.
Your
and
point-
the other thing is the rest of his speech
Well, they don't have to agree with him.
was about, oh, what happened to the Catholics and all the good Catholicism and where have we gone awry and why don't we respect priests anymore? Gee, I wonder why we don't respect priests anymore. Can anyone think of what's
So this is the LGBT groomers argument, but from the left. So instead of the LGBT being groomers, it's just the church are groomers. So like we do the same shit that they do, but it's okay when we do it, I guess, because there's been some priests that were pedos, which is disgusting. At the same time, there's been LGBT people who are pedos, and that's also disgusting. So like this is just well, I've got an example of your lot that are pedos. Well, I've got an example of your lot that are pedos. It's like, well, who wins? Who cares? More to the point.
happened to the priesthood in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years? Anyone? No? Yeah, that's
I can.
what I thought.
Yeah, there have been a lot of priests have been exposed as paedophiles, and it's completely outrageous.
Exactly.
I say that as a Catholic who's as appalled by it as you are. Tommy, I want to bring you in though. We've allowed you to have your.
That's actually quite a good rebuttal, to be fair. Yeah, that's bad too. Anyway,
Butker bite. Let's bring Tommy back in.
she's still grinning. Like, does she not know? Does she not know? Does she not know like what's gonna happen here? Does she know what's been happening for like 25 minutes at this point?
To this Monaco player, because it reminds.
What's up with Tomi's eyes? Hang on. So when I see that name, Tomi, I assume it's Tomi, but I think it's actually Tommy. I'll try and say it right.
Exactly.
Who's as appalled by it as you are. Tommy, I want to bring you in though. We've allowed you to have your Butker bite. Let's bring Tommy back into this Monaco player, because
sometimes just one opens and then the other. I don't know. I'm not body shaming. It's just a thing. It's probably like to do with the false lashes, because whenever I wear them, they make me blink weirdly.
Reminded me, there's a Northern Irish footballer, and he refuses every year to wear a poppy, which is, one of the red poppies that we wear in our country.
That's fine too, by the way, in my opinion.
To salute the work of the armed forces, and it's something we do on Remembrance Sunday over here. Now,
One day on Remembrance Sunday, when I used to work in Wetherspoon, like quite a few years ago, they had a parade in the town that I worked in. And then afterwards, a bunch of the like young squaddies came in, like trying to get drunk. Like most of them didn't have ID. One of them, I remember we cut off service to him. He like smashed his pint. He was like having a go at one guy and then having a go at me, telling me I'm like a tranny and I'm against God and stuff. It was like insane. All like the older like veterans and stuff that were also there were like cringing to fucking death, looking at the people that are in the army now. It was one guy mostly, to be fair. Like there was plenty of others there that weren't acting like that, but still, it's crazy.
Now the reason he doesn't wear it, it turned out, is that it represents all the military operations by the British Armed Forces, and he comes from a certain part of Northern Ireland where the British Parachute Regiment killed a lot of civilians, and it became known as Bloody Sunday.
I completely understand his reasons. Even if his reasons were kind of soy as fuck, I'd still be like, that's your right. That's your right to express your opinion by not wearing something that isn't part of your general uniform, aka your team kit,
U2 wrote a song about it. It became a hugely contentious thing. He comes from literally the very street where families of those who were killed live. So the idea that he would wear a poppy saluting the British Armed Forces would obviously not go down well with his own street.
This is false equivalence, Piers.
No, it's not false equivalence.
How many people have queer people killed?
Let him finish.
How many people have queer people killed? Well, I don't know. How many trans people have gone online trying to find community because there's fuck all locally, have found that all the trans people on the internet pretty much are completely insane and require them to change their beliefs completely to all kinds of bizarre shit that they don't want to subscribe to, and end up just being alone again because they can't handle it. How many of those people end up like killing themselves?
But Tommy, so my point is, I don't feel everyone here feels he should be compelled to wear it. I don't. And I don't think this Monaco player
okay, Piers is based. Okay, great.
should be compelled to wear it. If you start spewing homophobic stuff, different issue. Take him to task.
Yes.
He's not. He's just saying, I don't want to wear a patch, thanks.
Yes, what's wrong with that?
Right, I don't...
Okay, so he's shaking his head and she's nodding. Hang on.
I don't want to wear a patch, thanks.
Right, I don't...
Those two nod, she stays quiet, he shakes his head. Okay.
I don't think that athletes should be forced to wear anything outside of their actual uniform and that...
Yeah, based.
they should be expected to do anything beyond playing the game that they're there to play. What I don't understand about this forced pride on everybody, why are we forced to celebrate who you want to sleep with? It makes no sense. If you're playing soccer, football, volleyball, why do I care who you sleep with? If you are proud of yourself.
I think it's more to do with like showing solidarity because of historical issues. It gets more difficult. It gets more difficult the more out of control Pride Month has gotten. I mean, for how long it'll even still be Pride Month, who knows what it'll be next. Hopefully something shorter, but I'm probably not going to get that. Like, it gets more and more difficult to justify it, but that's kind of it, you know? Like, obviously there's a history there that people shouldn't be proud of, even if they weren't part of it, you know?
Which is what pride means, then why do I have to celebrate your sexuality? Why does your teammate have
At the same time, no one should really have to celebrate that.
to celebrate your sexuality? Why does an entire team, an organization have to
Bingo!
celebrate your
Again,
sexuality?
Bingo! And by the way,
and listen,
if Tommy, hang on,
And then the whole thing explodes.
hang on.
Wait,
If Tommy and I
do you
wore
now do-
badges,
wait.
hang on, Francesca, I'll come to you. If Tommy and I wore patches today saying straight and proud of it,
That's not what it said.
imagine how enraged people like James Barr would be.
Yeah, you know what? People should be allowed to go around saying, I'm proud to be straight. Like, go ahead. Who cares?
Said no homophobia. It didn't say, oh, I'm proud of you for sleeping with a
No,
man.
it was also an
didn't say that.
LGBT pride
Yes,
badge.
but the real problem here is he covered up no homophobia. Like that's
He
the
doesn't
question.
want a virtue
Also, Tommy,
signal.
He was
I think-
wearing it
I
on
think
the
I
unit. It
kind
was
of-
part of the uniform. It was on the uniform.
He
It's like
didn't
covering
want
up
to
a
be seen
sponsor.
wearing it.
Well, that
But
is
I
a
kind
real
of agree.
problem.
Yeah, what if his like family was watching and they didn't really know much about this stuff? Like, I don't know if, you know, people from Mali like speak French or whatever, or if they were a French speaking family or whatever. But, you know, this guy doesn't want to think about stuff like that. It's just, no, you're wrong because it's homophobic. Like, that's all there is to it. There's no need to dig deeper. There's no need to actually understand what's going on here because you've already made your decision.
Because the team
I
and the
kind of
reasons
agree,
for
though.
us
All right,
celebrating
let's bring in
pride
Francesca- bring
is
in
to try and
Francesca.
stamp out homophobia in sport. Which is
Francesca, pride
Yes,
badge.
but the real problem here is he covered up no homophobia. Like that's
He
the
doesn't
question.
want a
Also,
virtue
Tommy,
signal.
He was wearing it
I
on
think
the
I
unit. It
kind
was
of-
part of the uniform. It was on the uniform.
Right.
I do get his point, but that doesn't explain why people should have to wear it. That explains why people do wear it. And why you shouldn't shit on them for wearing it either. You know, that's an opinion they can express. And I agree with that. Like, homophobia wherever is generally not a good thing, in my opinion. But it doesn't answer why people should be forced to do it. Especially someone from a certain kind of background who comes from a certain country where maybe the people that knew him back then are going to watch it and see that and be, you know, be given certain opinions because that's just what the culture's like or whatever. You can't, you know, it's very easy to be a white person from a Western nation and just shit all over someone else's culture because it's like homophobic or something, but you don't understand that experience ultimately.
He
It's like
didn't
covering
want
up
to
a
be seen
sponsor.
wearing it.
Well, that
But
is
I
a
kind
real
of agree.
problem because the
What's the problem?
team
I
and the
kind of
reasons
agree,
for
though.
us
All right,
celebrating
let's bring in
pride
Francesca- bring
is
in
to try and
Francesca.
stamp out homophobia in sport. Which is
Francesca,
Which is good to do, but first off, how does forcing everyone to wear an armband stamp out homophobia? It arguably gives homophobes more like ammunition or whatever. But second off, why does that mean that it's bad for any one person to not wear it? Why does that mean you have to assume that if they're not wearing it, it's that they don't think that homophobia should be stamped out of sports, for example?
a really important point.
Francesca.
I think that's a really important point that James brought up. Like, it's like we are obviously missing the forest for the trees here, that there is a broader problem of homophobia, but let's leave that aside. Tommy said, and I do agree, you know, that athletes shouldn't have to be required to do anything other than play the sport. So what about the national anthem? Can athletes sit or kneel for the national anthem? Because last I remembered, the right freaks out
You can do
every time
whatever
they
you
I'm going to guess the right angle. Not that I'm saying this is what she's going to say, but is that it's like the national anthem is like sacred or it's to do with like religion, more or less.
do that.
But people are going to criticize you for it. Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, true of anything. I mean, you hide the no homophobia, this guy's going to come after you. So either way, whenever you do, someone's probably going to have a fucking opinion on it.
You can do whatever you want. Athletes can do whatever they want. If Colin Kaepernick
Okay,
wants
I'm
to
glad to hear
sit
you
or
say it.
kneel or do whatever he wants, he's more than
Yeah, she's fishing for gotchas rather than like, does she give a shit about this subject? Has she shown once that she gives a shit about this subject?
willing to do it. But we're talking about a separate issue here. The national
No,
anthem
we're
is
not. That's
traditionally
literally
played
the
because
same thing.
there are
It's
people that have
personal
fought and died for
expression.
their country.
It's being
in order-
required. It's being required. And if you say you shouldn't be required to
not-
do anything you don't want to do, that's the same thing. Look, there was
Okay, Piers Morgan, I sometimes compliment his like moderation style, but he could rein this woman in a bit more. Like she's not, yeah.
So there was a player on the Mets, right? Forgetting his name right now, but he was from Vieques, Puerto Rico, and he would never stand for the national anthem. Why? Because Vieques is a U.S. military base that bombed that corner of Puerto Rico.
Hasn't she already said that she more or less agrees that he shouldn't have to, or whatever? I don't know.
Time and time again, there's incredible toxins in the water, and he wouldn't stand for it. And then eventually, part of the contract was, you better stand for this, or we're gonna boot you off the team. So he did. He started doing it, right? That's what I'm saying. It's every single individual.
I mean, if that's true, then yeah, that's also cringe. Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing with kneeling is it's not like what am I trying to say here? It's not disruptive to like the game or whatever. You're not like spoiling it for the viewers particularly. It's just that you're kneeling for a song, which some people have stronger feelings for than others.
Club's decision as well as that player's decision.
All right, let's move on to two very quick things. I want to just get a quick reaction from all of you to two things. One, Tommy, is Trump going to get convicted, and will he win the election?
Why are we...
Whatever happens.
So I believe if there's any shred of democracy and constitutionality left in my country, I don't believe he will be convicted. Even if he is, it's going to be overturned on appeal. This whole thing is a sham. It's a crimeless crime to begin with. And I do believe...
I have no idea. Like, this person's a Fox News talking head. I wouldn't trust her more than I could throw her about anything to do with the subject.
that if it is between Joe
And it's weird, she sounds different when she's like rattling off the talking points than when she's actually engaging. She sounds a lot more intelligent actually engaging, and usually it's the other way around. Usually when you have someone who rattles the talking points off, that's when they're speaking most confidently, whereas when they have to like improvise a bit, like there's loads of streamers you could see doing this, like especially like feminist ones who like when they're on the feminist train it's like easy because they've rehearsed this a million times. But when they actually have to like think on their feet because they're talking to someone who's not going to necessarily say what you think they're going to say, is very different. But she seems to be the other way around. Like she sounds like she's going back to media drone mode at times. But that's just what I think. To be fair, I have a lot of bias against any like Fox News talking head, for example, because I'm not actually a right winger, surprisingly.
Biden and Donald Trump will win the election in November. I still don't think Joe is going to be the nominee. I think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. But if it is Joe versus Trump, I'm pretty confident Trump is going to win.
Okay.
I mean, isn't it definitely Biden, surely? Like, I don't know. I didn't think there was really any doubt of that, but whatever.
Esther, is he going to get convicted?
I don't think he'll get convicted. I don't think the cases are strong enough.
And will he win?
I'm slightly convinced that he will win. I mean, for me, the math still isn't adding up, but I don't think...
Well, he's ahead in almost every...
I'm not sure about Donald Trump winning. Like, there's definitely a part of me that thinks he might. I'm trying not to put too much weight on, like, all the far leftists going on about how, like, I'll genocide Joe and, like, not wanting to vote for him. And then not engaging when people say, well, Trump would have been way worse in that department and also might well be way worse for all these things like LGBT rights, which is really interesting, by the way. How many people in 2016 and in 2020 like threatening to like move to Canada or whatever shit if Trump gets elected? They're not doing that this year. I'm not seeing a lot of that this year. Like, I'm just saying, it's interesting.
Yes, but I think 2 weeks before the election is when you can really gauge how people feel. I think months out is not enough.
Yeah, she's sensible. Like it is difficult to speculate even at this point because so much shit is still yet to happen. Like Joe Biden still has how many months left of his presidency that could swing things either way, for example. Yeah, let's see.
All right, James?
I think the question, will Trump be convicted for a crime, and will he win the election, is a terrifying question.
Yeah, but
those two questions should not ever be next to each other.
He doesn't like answering questions, does he? Even that question. Fuck. Well, he's been charged, so I don't know. Let's see.
What? I can't understand how that's happened.
Can you answer the question or not?
Well, I can't.
Mate, he ran fucking 8 years ago. You've had 8 years to understand that he's like he was the president at one point. He is one of the figures that gets into this shit. I don't know. Fuck. I'm losing my words. You've had 8 years to understand that Trump is a political figure and that, yeah, shit's slightly ridiculous now, basically.
Because I don't understand the American legal system at all. I would hope that he was arrested for a lot of the things that were incredibly wrong, including inciting an actual riot on the Capitol.
There's quite a lot of people you could incite in that case, to be fair. And like, you know, I get the stochastic terrorism thing. There's probably quite a few people I would describe as stochastic terrorists, to be fair, so...
Okay, well, thank you for your constructive thoughts.
No worries.
Francesca, will Trump be convicted? And either way, will he win the election?
Ooh, I like this. He will be convicted because the evidence is glaring. And, you know, we all know that David Pecker refused to pay his bills anymore. And so Trump was like, damn it, now I've got to do financial crimes to pay off this woman I slept with. So that's what happened.
Tommy is really not happy.
Who cares? Who cares who he sleeps with?
I think he will.
Yeah, I wanted to say she's dodging the question again, but she didn't actually dodge the question. It's like, answer the question, but then ramble a bunch. I don't know. I'm still getting used to these people, I guess.
You liberals didn't care who people slept with.
Actually, I thought that was part of pride.
In this instance, they do.
I don't care. I don't care.
Have pride in your sexuality. Doesn't that extend to porn stars?
So love is love.
I don't
and
know
you
if
can
that
pay off a porn
extends
star.
to Donald Trump.
People pay off people all the time in America. Why shouldn't Trump be able to pay off a porn star?
Dude,
even if he did
I'm not the one
it?
that wrote the campaign finance.
Wasn't it like campaign funds or something to do so, which I can see why there'd be a problem with that, but I'm not here to talk about Donald Trump, so.
Law? I didn't write the campaign finance law. Okay, libs. The left didn't get together and was like, ooh, I know what we'll do. We'll write campaign finance laws.
If Hunter Biden did it, you'd be flying a flag saying "Free Hunter."
Yeah. I thought, besides, I thought sex work was real work.
Final question.
I thought sex work was real work. Anyway.
Final question.
I hope he wins. I hope he wins the presidency for your sake, Piers. So you can have some sort of spot on the administration. I don't know what you want to do. Maybe you want to be sort of, you know, ambassador or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Actually, now you're talking. Yeah.
Right. Maybe you should be the White
Actually,
House.
the embassy here is
To be fair, if they paid me enough, I'd be a fucking ambassador for Trump. Fuck it.
really nice. I wouldn't mind that. Yeah, Trump's
There you
American
go.
ambassador to the UK. Great idea. Very quickly, because I know Tommy got to go. This extraordinary story about Graceland, Elvis Presley's home, where he lived for many years, where he's buried along with most of his family, including Lisa Marie, his daughter, who sadly died last year, his parents, his grandmother, Lisa Marie's brother, who sadly shot himself, and so on. Is at the centre of this huge legal row where some investment firm has come forward and said Lisa Marie reneged on a debt of £3 million, $3.5 million, and as a result, they are now selling Graceland. And Riley, who is the granddaughter, the actress, Riley Goff, isn't it? She has come out and said she's got an interim order preventing it happening. They're back in court later today. It's extraordinary and all part of the Elvis circus. But my question is this. Would you ever want to be buried in the grounds of your own house, seeing what's happened here? Because what happens if somebody comes along and says, we're selling your house? Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I live here in Tennessee, so this is obviously close to my heart, and being in Nashville and Memphis just down the road. Elvis is the king. I would never want to be buried at my home for that reason, but there is good news in this. I believe that the sale has, at least for now, been halted, so we all rejoice here in Tennessee and for Elvis the king.
I mean, no one's asking
Why
my
would anyone
opinion,
want to
but
buy it?
Well, James, let's ask your opinion. Assuming you have one.
You know, Elvis met his wife when she was 14. I think that's absolutely disgusting.
What's that got to do with it?
It's got a lot to do with it. I'd burn the place down or turn it into a women.
He's always got some like soy as fuck thing to go off with. Like, oh yeah, Jesus. I'm not gonna say I hate him. I don't hate him. I don't hate you, James Barr. You ever watch this for some reason, which I'm sure you won't. But like, come on, let the soy Put the soy down. Put the soylent down. Get some real milk in you for once.
Why?
It's women's safety.
She made it clear to me.
Into a
Women's
women's
safety.
safety refuge.
So you're accusing her of what? Because I interviewed her last year and she was emphatic. There was no sex between them until she was of lawful age.
Cool.
So what's your problem?
No worries then.
Just a lot of grooming.
Awesome. Good job.
What's your problem?
Awesome.
What's your problem?
No problem.
Well, he wasn't allowed
She
to.
says it's okay.
He
so
wasn't
it's
allowed to
fine.
meet her.
Piers, do you think it's okay to marry a 14-year-old?
You didn't marry a 14-year-old.
Okay, but if you met a 14-year-old
He
and
didn't
then
marry a
dated a
14-year-old.
14-year-old when you were 10 years older,
did
do you
not
think
marry
it's
her
okay?
until
also
she
thinks
was.
it's
Then
Yeah, that really depends on the nature of their relationship up to that point, to be fair.
no, answer the
14-year-olds should
question.
take puberty
She's
blockers
14
and cut
and
off
you're
body
30.
parts.
Sorry, Tommy? What was that, Tommy?
He doesn't believe you should get married at 14, but you can take puberty blockers and cut off body parts.
ridiculous.
Bingo.
Again,
You're
actually putting words in my mouth,
Tommy.
Tommy.
Have you not put words in people's mouths, like, at all?
I've done a lot today, and I
not
don't
wrong.
appreciate that.
She's not wrong.
I haven't ever commented
not
on
wrong.
that. I haven't commented
She's
on
not
that.
wrong.
I haven't
She's
commented.
Oh my god, he got himself into that one. Fuck me.
On that. She's not commented on that.
I love a
But
bit
it's
of-
interesting that you don't want to talk
I love
about
a bit
real
of,
women here in your words
I love
when
a-
we're talking about that.
I love
you're
a bit of-
let's just
I mean, it's a pretty easy one. It was a long time ago. I don't agree with that kind of thing. I don't fucking know Elvis personally, do I? Come on.
change the subject.
I
Talk
do
about
love a
trans
bit
women
of
again.
blonde on blonde
How
action, I gotta
ridiculous.
say. Esther, finally to you. Would you? I mean, it's an interesting thing. I was talking to my mother about this because all of our family pets are buried in our garden, right? And if one day we ever wanted to sell the house, what about that? Like, you got these,
Absolutely
the
not.
spirits of these pets.
Because you can never sell it, and I was like, why would anyone even want to own that property? I don't want to be buried.
Well, if
in
Elvis is in the garden, a lot of people would want to own
No,
it.
I don't want to be buried.
I don't
Because
think
then
they
what
would
if like
be.
my, no,
That's
absolutely
honestly
not.
awful.
You get the bones. You get the bones.
Wow.
And you get to reanimate
And some, like,
them.
dog is
you get
coming
to
and-
dress
and
them
digging
You
up.
know what,
You
Francesca?
get
To
to
quote
have
the
tours
famous
of it.
phrase and to end this debate, don't be cruel, okay? Boom. Thank you all very much indeed
I don't actually know what you meant by that. I thought he was going to say something actually relevant. Oh, well.
for your time. It was as animated as I expected.
the mic drop you
And
thought it was,
well, it's only because you're too young. You're actually all too young to know that "Don't Be Cruel" was one of Elvis Presley's biggest hits.
Oh,
Not
okay.
too young.
And that
Elvis
makes
to
me
date us.
sad that I'm
There we go. I'm not old enough. I'm younger than Piers Morgan. Please be surprised by that, because I need someone to be.
the only person on this panel old enough to actually remember anything he ever sang. I'm sad about
I remember songs he sang, like, come on, but I don't know that one.
that. I feel very old suddenly. But anyway.
Hound, don't be you're nothing but a hound dog. There, got it.
There we go. Some leftist humor for you. They're capable of it. We've proven it now. Thank you.
Got it.
Boom.
Got it.
Thank
Get a
you all.
room.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.